There's two reasons our Royale is a national park these days, and the two reasons are it has phenomenal wilderness resources on land, but hidden behind these waters is a phenomenal fisheries resource. And Park Service mission is preserve and protect. When aquatic invasive species have started arriving, we've been really worried about the impacts here. So when a disease called viral hemorrhagic septicemia hit the lower lakes, it's like Ebola for fish. And I decided I needed solutions for our ballasted ship, the Ranger III. And it took me on a course of not only finding solutions for our own ship, but working with industry partners to find solutions in the Great Lakes. When the disease hit the lower lakes, we knew that we did not want to be the ship that transferred the disease to the island. And so I pulled together some subject matter experts and said, hey, what can we do to treat the ship? And everybody said it can't be done. Nobody's doing it right now. And everything's been designed for saltwater ships. And so I pulled together some folks and I said, well, what if the ship can't leave the dock until you guys figure it out? And they figured it out pretty fast. And so they took some very common things. They took chlorine, they figured out how to inject it into our ballast tanks, and then they used ascorbic acid, which is vitamin C, many of us take it daily, as a neutralizer. It's more expensive than what you would do on a commercial level. But basically, we started with this, putting it in through the vents of the ballast tanks, that simple, and then moving the water inside so that we could hit discharge standards so that when you released ballast, it did no harm to the native species. The chlorine treatment was just an emergency process, if you will. And so we actually scoped out what saltwater systems were available that we might apply in our freshwater situation and found a UV system, ultraviolet. So used in a lot of drinking water plants. And got the money to not only put it on the ship, but also to write a report about the technologies that were available for ships our size. So hopefully trying to encourage other ships in the Great Lakes or in the US to do the same.
This ballast water treatment system essentially takes in ambient water from around. It sends it through a filtration system which filtrates out the larger particles and then sends the rest of it through a UV reactor where the light, UV light bulbs kill any other biomatter, and then sends it to the ballast tanks that we have to use to maintain stability on board the ship. When the ballast is discharged, when necessary, again for stability reasons, or when we get to a dock for clearances, that water then goes back through the reactor and then pumped overboard.
One of the very few fish that's found in few numbers across the Great Lakes anymore is coaster brook trout. It was like the fisherman's nirvana because they would bite on anything. They're huge. They run like an anadromous fish, i.e. they go into the big lake and then they come back and spawn in smaller lakes. And they were pretty well fished out at the, in the early 1900s. And we have 3 remaining strains of coaster brook trout here that are being used to restock Lake Superior. And we only have around 500 of those fish on this island. So when you have a disease like viral hemorrhagic septicemia that can kill fish by the tons, you definitely want to make sure they're not killing your fish.
This park and this lake are pristine, and I want to see everybody do everything they can to keep them that way. The zebra mussels are ugly to look at, they're hard on equipment, they're hard on everything. And it's such a special place, I just hate to see any invasive species come in and ruin it. As a lover of nature, I want to keep it crisp and clean for me, for my family, my friends, and for everybody. This lake is a treasure, and we don't want it filled with species that aren't going to add to the beauty. They're going to take away from it and take away from the natural fish that live here, destroy it for them and for us.